Welcome back, family and friends. I'm Old School Mechanic James. Today we're working on the Mercruiser 4.3 V6 engine. We're just about done. We've got the last stage, maybe the last part. I think we're going to get her done today. So basically the last video was part 9 and we talked about putting on the upper risers, how they both needed just one gasket on each side because I don't have that splitter, an extra spacer. So yes, you get 4 to a packet from Amazon, but on this 4.3 you only need one on each side, so you got backups when they go bad. So we put the upper exhaust flow, the other left side, right side exhaust flow. I didn't get what you guys on the distributor because it's pretty easy. When you get top dead center, harmonic balancer, the marker lined up with your tab, if you got a tab, it's top dead center, 0. It's the number 1 piston is going to be up. You can pull a plug. You don't even have to have the plugs in before you even put plugs in. Just try to rotate your assembly and get that number 1 cylinder all the way up. Your mark should be dead on with your harmonic balancer and the timing tab. That's all been done. I take my distributor. Now I have the electronic ports that are facing. If you're in the back of the engine, they're facing to the left. If you're in the front of the engine, they're facing to the right, but they're facing to the number 1, number 3, number 5 side of the engine. So I already know I'm in that area to where it needs to be because that's where it was when I pulled it. I'll pull off my distributor cap and I'll go ahead and line the rotor to that number 1 cylinder, right? So you line that up, look at underneath, look at your little centerpiece, look at the centerpiece for your oil pump shaft that comes up. They should be aligned. So you can set one on top of the other. They should slide right down in together. Most times they do, sometimes they don't, and sometimes it's a bear because no matter how hard you try, you have to bump the starter to get it to drop down. But we got the distributor in on the first try. Everything's good. We get the plug wires on. I got 2, 4, and 6 on the right side, 1, 3, and 5 on the left side. I don't know how the video will show up, but that's how they're aligned. If you go online, you can see there's many different diagrams. There's a lot of bolt mariners that have the distributor rotation on the spark plugs, so it lets you know what fire in order. So I forgot already. I'm old school. I don't remember. I'd be guessing if I said it was 6. I could find out real quick. 6, 5, 4. 3. 4. 2. That last one was 2, and then you got the number 1 cylinder. It was 1, 6, 3, 4. Anyway, you guys check it out. I didn't mark these. Sometimes I put a little white magic marker on top. You can read the numbers on top. It's kind of easy. It doesn't look real pretty. It doesn't make your boat look real pretty, but who's looking under that motor cover? Probably only you. So don't worry about it. I did have them marked, but they faded away. 6, 4. If you just go online, you can find the firing order, and you'll be good to go. Just make sure you do the correct wiring on it. Okay, so we got all that done. I wanted to let you guys know I did the water pump. I think on the last video you guys watched me put the water pump on. It was pretty easy. Got that on. Got the hoses all hooked up all the way around. Upper, lower, all coming from the thermostat. Got everything flowing into the exhaust, into the riser. All the water flows there. All the hoses are nice and tight. Now the wiring harness, I put the wiring harness on. There's only 2 bolts in the front to hold this bracket. It's your little solenoid and computerized electronic. It says it's called a Mercruiser or Mercruiser. So that's what that little electronic system is. I didn't have to take anything off that. All the wires were there, hooked to the harness. The harness comes up here. This is what plugs into your the harness wire that comes off of your instrument gauges and your key switch and all that. It plugs right into here. It's really user friendly. But here's where we're going to hot wire when we get this motor on the ground. I'll show you how to hot wire this to a battery, and we'll get the gas into the fuel line, and we'll be able to start this motor on the ground. So basically I put that in. The wire harness goes underneath the exhaust. There's a ground that goes to the motor mount, and then the wiring harness to the starter. There's 3 wires. You got the red, the orange, and the yellow. The yellow is the small one that goes to your solenoid. The red and orange go to the main post, positive post on your starter. We're going to do that today. The wiring harness comes around the back side, and one goes to the sensor on the bottom. There's a sensor on top next to the distributor. I know you can't see it, but there's a blue wire that goes to the oil sensor, and that's it. That's all the wiring harness is. It's really that easy. There's 2 wires that we have that we put later on. If you look at my earlier videos, I showed you they go when we put the shifter cable. We mount that here. You got 2 wires that go to the bottom of the electronics, and the blue wire I think is on the bottom, and the black wire, the ground, is on top. They're held in by a Phillips screwdriver. I mean a Phillips screw. Anyways, you guys can check that out. Right now we're going to go with the starter. It's really pretty easy. It's not that hard, not that difficult. Okay, I'm just going to bring it down a little so you guys can see a little better here where I'm at, what I'm doing. I think that's pretty good. So basically I'm down here on the right side of the motor. This is where the starter goes, right up in here. It's not that hard, not that difficult. It's a little heavy for an older guy, but it's a starter. It's a GM, Chevy, GM, General Motor. So it's got the little screw stud that has about a 3/8 on it. I'm going to take the washer and this nut off. The same with the positive. I want to move that out of the way right away because I know where everything goes, so I'm not going to mess with it on already mounted. Just get them out of the way. All your flat washer and your lock washer, all that's out of the way. Okay, so basically we're going to mount this right up in here. Okay, so I got one bolt here and the other bolt I got over there. We're just going to stick it up in here. See where the hole is. There we go. You just finger tighten it and you're on your way. It's really that easy. All right, one in, one to go. Really that easy. Nothing difficult about it. Now we're going to put the flywheel on it later, and we're going to put the coupler on it. It will be the last thing we do. We got to pull this engine off the engine stand, bring it to the ground. That's the only way you can get your flywheel on because the engine stand's in the way. And you also got that big coupler that goes over the flywheel, and it's got a shield on the bottom. You separate that shield so you get the coupler on there, you slide that shield up in there, and then you bolt it up. There's about 5 or 6 bolts on the bottom half. It's like a half a moon. That's how you put it on there. You can put it right over this starter. It's not a big issue. Okay, so this is a 9/16. We're just going to tighten it up little by little. I don't want to strip anything. You don't want to ruin the bolt holes. Just like that. Just like that. That's a little bit tighter, and we're good. We are on target. This is video part 9. This will be installing the starter, update on the distributor, the wiring harness, the water pump, the upper risers. That's all this is. It's not going to take too much. We got the motor mounts all set up. Okay, now let's go ahead and do the wiring. So I actually got more than I need. I'm going to come back out a little bit. I wasn't sure how far. This wiring harness, the more you give it, get away from your starter, the better you are. Let me see if I can't come up. Bring that up a little bit. I like to have as much as possible on top because you don't want extra wire hanging out down below. It just gets in the way, it's more bulky. But you can bring it up like this. Just feed it back through. There we go. Everything is better. Okay, so this way, this here, if you guys can see this, where I'm at. But this will actually plug right in. The higher you got it, the better you are. It's not gonna hurt anything. I got it tie strapped out of the way. So that's good to go. All right, let's go back down to the starter and we'll finish her up. This will be a short video. Not too much going on here. All right, so I don't kick all my washers out of the way. So basically, there's 3 wires here. Go to the yellow one first, the one that goes to the back. Just kind of get it out of the way. It goes to the back stud. Just slide that baby on. There we go. Alrighty, and that takes a washer and a lock washer. Get that out of the way. Again, that's a 3/8. You know, the nice thing is on an engine stand, when you're down below, you can check everything out from, you know, the motor level. Sometimes when you're standing up on top, you don't see everything the way you need to. I'm down here, I see the cables, I see the wiring harness, I see maybe I need to adjust something, make sure everything's tight, all your valves. It's just a good way to check your motor out, make sure everything's good. I'm going to tighten that down real quick. That's going to be a 3/8. That way we get that out of the way. Yes, sir. I think we're good. Get down there. Alright. We're going to tighten this up and then we're going to go ahead and put the positive cable on next. Actually, a socket would be even easier. Let's see if I can get a socket in there. These wrenches might take a little longer. Ah. Oh, sound like an old man. Old man, old school. Okay, let's get her done. We got one more race coming up. The Cotton Bowl Speedway's got their Oktoberfest. So I'm gonna register racing street stock. It's a 2-day race, a Friday and a Saturday. So y'all wish me luck. 1,500 first place. And heck, I'll be lucky if I finish. There's some big boys that show up. They come from all over the state of Texas, sometimes out of the state of Texas. For big purses, these guys always show up. Anyway, I don't know where I'm at right now. What is today? Is it a Veterans Day? Is it a holiday? Why is everything closed on a Monday? Alright. Let's see where I'm at. Taking a little bit longer to find the right socket here. Thought I had it. Somebody's been playing in my toolbox. Got all my sockets all over the place. All right, we're back in business. Let's see if we can get in there. Huh. What was that? Yeah, okay. All right, don't go too far. Careful when you tighten these, you know, that cable can spin around. And then you got another issue coming up. There we go. cable spun too far. I want to bring it back a little. Keep your finger on it, hold it in place. You don't want anything touching metal. Alright, I think we're in good shape now. Don't like that. Something ain't right. Well, everything's spinning. Tell you what we're gonna do. I'm putting 2 nuts on this because everything's spinning. I think what happened was, yeah. There's 2 nuts on the ground here. So I'm thinking one goes on the stud, holds the stud in place, and then the other one comes behind it or in front of it. That's what we just did. I just put the new one on. So it's got 2 nuts to it. There we go. Oh yeah. We're in business. We're in business, guys. The back stud had 2 nuts on it and a lock washer. So I had to put that first nut on, put the wire on, then put the lock washer, and then the other nut. Tighten them all up. We're in good shape. Okay, now, it doesn't matter if you do the orange first or the red first on the main post. Just make sure they're together. That's how you took them off. That's how they go back on. Make sure there's no metal-to-metal contact with these. Later on, when we put this in the boat, remember I disconnected the cables from the battery. The negative goes to the block. I'll show you that in the video. And then the positive goes under the engine and it hooks up to the starter from the battery. So we're going to tighten it down today, because what I'm going to do is put it on the ground maybe tomorrow or the next day, and we'll fire this bad boy up. Hopefully we'll hear a good sound. That's the game plan. Alright, so let's put these washers on here. I got 2 lock washers. I don't know why there's 2, but that's what came off. That's what's going back on. Alright, it's a 9/16. Do not strip these threads. It's a copper post. You can take it apart, that solenoid, and you can replace those posts, but it's a pain in the butt, you know? So you gotta be careful with certain things, you know? You just can't over torque them or strip the threads. These copper threads will strip pretty easy. Some of you guys might know that already. Alright, we're good. We're on. We're in. We're done. So we got that done. Next thing is I'm going to pull this engine on the ground. I got a flywheel. I got a little V-shaped coupler that goes on it. And then the main coupler, which I got on my workbench. You know, they're hard to find, those gaskets, and they're pretty expensive. There's a little gasket that goes on the bottom lip of your coupler. And eBay's got them. I think Amazon might have them. But they're like 40 bucks or something. I got, the old one is pretty usable. It's got a few cracks and a few tears in it. I'm just going to put some gasket sealant on that bad boy, smooth it all out, slap it on there. Because it's the outer part. It doesn't have any real purpose other than shield from water and dirt and mud. You know, from hitting off underneath the boat, you know, where your pump is, your water pump that sits at the bottom of the boat inside. Well, water's going to get in there somehow, some way. Hopefully not. You don't want no water in that bottom. I mean, that's what the water pump is there for, in case water spills over the bow or whatever, you get it down in there. We'll pump it out. You throw that switch. I remember a time I was in Clear Lake, Texas. It was a 4th of July get-together, and I took one of my boats down there. I'm out there going through the Kima boardwalk area, if anybody knows where that is, heading out through the little canal with all the other boats. I start getting out towards the ocean. This boat's not that big. It's a 28-footer, maybe 30. I got about 5 or 6 people. Well, I started taking on water, and the water wasn't going back out. And I forgot my village pump switch. I was looking for it. I don't know what happened. Maybe something was distracting me, but the boat started filling up with water. I started yelling at everybody, get on your life jackets, get on your life jackets. And the water came in, I mean to tell you, it was about 1 foot to 2 feet almost. It was a 2-liner boat. It's an outer liner, inner liner, so it's not gonna sink. It's got air within the pockets. But it did fill up with some air with 5-6 people in the ocean. So somehow, some way, it killed the engine. I don't know if it was the battery went dead. I don't know what happened, but the engine wouldn't start to get us back to shore. So fortunately, the Coast Guard patrol boat was in the area, smaller one, threw me a rope and told me back. Actually, I'll take that back. It was a patron, another boating patron. It was another boating patron that threw me a rope and told me back to the nearest gas pump. I might have ran out of gas. I don't remember all what happened. But we got back to that little gas station that was right there on the boat launch area. It wasn't too, we weren't too far away from it. And we got hand pumps, everything else, and started pumping the water out. I remember the beach patrol showed up and asked me if I knew how many people could get into that boat. And I said, well, wait a minute. I went inside, there's a little sticker right near the steering column. It says how many people you can have in your boat, 6 or 8. Well, it said 8. And I only had like 5 or 6 people, so I was within the regulations. Otherwise, he'd have cited me and gave me a ticket. Anyway, it was a lesson to be learned. Get that village pump on, get that water flowing, no matter what. I mean, if you don't got water in there, you don't want to burn out your village pump, so you turn it on when you need it, as needed. Anyway, it was a lesson to be learned. So that splash shield that we put on the back is there for a good reason. It does keep the water, mud, dirt from climbing up in there, hitting the flywheel, hitting the starter, getting any kind of rust in there. That's why, get a good sealant on there. If you don't buy that gasket, get a good rubber gasket sealant on it. You're good to go. There's no problem. Anyways, we're done. That's all I wanted to show you and where we're at on this update on part 10. Man, we're almost there. We're going to fire this bad boy up. Next time you see me, we're going to fire it up. Hot diggity dog. We're in the month of October. The weather is getting a little cold in Texas. We broke we didn't break a record, but we got down to 56 degrees. I mean, from 105 to 56, we're living it up. Barbecues are going. Anyways, y'all take care. I'm Old School Mechanic James. We'll catch you on the flip side. Y'all take care.